In the ruins of Pompeii, on a crumbling wall of what used to be a bar, someone scratched two sentences.
Successes. A weaver loves the innkeeper's slave girl named Iris. She, however, does not love him. Still, he begs to have her pity on him. His rival wrote this: goodbye.
This was carved almost 2,000 years ago, but only took a few moments to carve. And this unnamed individual was likely drunk and definitely not thinking about posterity. And later, Mount Vesuvius erupted. The ash came down and life stopped, preserving this message for me and for you. Formal histories of Rome tell us of emperors and conquest, but the graffiti that remained tells us who people actually were. They were petty, generous, cruel, and achingly human. The messages people didn't think would matter or be preserved became the most honest portrait of an entire civilization. Fast forward to today, and we are still writing on the wall. Every tweet, every selfie, 2 a.m. Reddit confession, meme, or one-star review written in a fugue of customer rage is our digital graffiti, scratched on the walls of the internet by people who are thinking about their day, not about their data. And just like with Pompeii, the archaeologists came. Except these archaeologists didn't carry brushes and trowels, and, well, they weren't even human. These archaeologists are web crawlers, data scrapers, and artificial intelligence algorithms that improve the more data they consume. And the one source that is vast enough to satisfy its appetite is the open internet, the metaphorical wall that we've been writing on for decades. By the mid-2020s, everything that we've publicly shared, from memes to blogs, reviews, books, videos, and songs, these were preserved, cataloged, and a lot of these have been sent to AI models that learned to mimic our language, logic, and creativity. But here's the thing about graffiti. It doesn't just preserve our culture, it preserves our biases too. The ruins of Pompeii didn't just show us Roman gossip. It showed us Roman hierarchy and thinking, enslaved people discussed as objects and women as property. The walls became a record of who had power and status and who didn't. 2,000 years later, the only difference is the insane speed and volume of the information being shared and mimicked. Over 80% of Americans say that they've worried about how companies use their data, yet most of these same people are signed up on more platforms than they think and have definitely skipped over reading a privacy policy here or there. Psychologists call this hyperbolic discounting. It's when we trade our future for a fraction of the cost today. Years ago, a Stanford study revealed that people would gladly sell their friends' contact information for a single free pizza. All right, time for a little snack. That hits a spot, just what I needed. By 2025, this pizza evolved into chatbots, targeted ads, and personalized playlists. But the situation is the same. We're selling privacy for convenience or momentary gain. And the internet is designed to exploit our tendency to do this. The accept all cookies button is often a vibrant green, while the reject options is small gray text. The path of least resistance is designed to collect your data. Over 56% of people on the internet admit that they never read privacy policies. The actual number is likely a lot higher. Consent has become a ritual that we perform multiple times a day without consideration. But maybe underneath the dark patterns and the privacy fatigue, there's something deeper. we want to be seen. Social exchange theory says that human connection is transactional. We share so we can receive. A post for a like, a selfie for proof that we exist in someone else's mind. But the desire to be seen and the desire for convenience are exactly the things that expose our data and our privacy. The reckless part isn't in sharing, but in trusting that social norms will be upheld. Take, for example, the Roomba privacy leaks, when a Roomba smart vacuum cleaner shattered a family's privacy. During its testing phase, it captured a photo of the tester on their toilet. They were mortified to discover that per the privacy policy they signed, the image was sent to hired workers overseas for data labeling, but these workers eventually leaked the image online. And for anyone using cloud-connected home security cameras, your footage is streamed to company servers, where clips are analyzed and labeled by AI in real time. A prime example of convenience over privacy. Another example is Clearview AI, which scraped 30 billion photos from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and more to build facial recognition tools for the police. Photos posted for friends, but repurposed for surveillance. And these patterns were present long before the popular chatbots of today, such as when Amazon built an AI-based recruiting tool. This tool was trained on a decade of resumes, but because the tech industry is predominantly male, the AI algorithm began penalizing resumes containing the word women's. The AI didn't learn to be sexist, it just learned hiring patterns. Our patterns. These aren't technically glitches, they're just reproductions of the visual and linguistic culture that we've captured. Researchers call large language models parrots for a reason. They repeat what they've heard without understanding it. If a parrot says something bigoted, it's because it heard it from us. And yes, most people weren't responsible for designing this system, and not everyone is even on the internet. The average person doesn't just take 30 billion personal photos and use it to make a surveillance tool. But we are still partially responsible. We're part of the equation. We wrote the graffiti, we took the pictures, we are the source of the data being used. We chose pizza over the friend, and few people understood what would occur as a result. And the result, what we see happening today, is interesting to say the least. The data that we shared in the early 2020s, the reckless, messy, and authentically human data, is becoming more and more scarce. And the internet is quickly filling up with thoughtless AI-generated content. And new AI models are trained on the outputs of old AI models, and each iteration gets a little bit further and a little bit further from the original source, us. This is called model collapse. It's our digital ruins being paved over by synthetic replicas of the original. Soon, maybe the most sought-after resource on Earth will be the real stuff. The unfiltered human output. The posts that we made without thinking. The graffiti. The real face-to-face, imperfect, and awkward conversations that we have with one another. The people of Pompeii didn't choose to be preserved. They were just living, carving names, declaring love, and settling petty scores. They wrote on the walls because that's just what people do. And like them, we wrote on our walls too. 2,000 years from now, no one will care about the perfect synthetic outputs of a machine. They will look for the graffiti, the small carving on the walls written by people, simply because they were alive at that time and they wanted to be heard. The question for us today isn't how our digital ruins will be used, but whether we still have the courage to be unapologetically human. Because the real tragedy is that out of the fear of obsolescence, we stop sharing anything at all. Anyway, that is it for today. I hope you really enjoyed this video, that maybe it made you think about something in a different light. I'll see you in the next one. Soon, maybe the most sought-after resource on Earth will be the real stuff. The unfiltered human output. The posts that we made without thinking. The graffiti. The real face-to-face, imperfect, and awkward conversations that we have with one another. At this point, a YouTube video from 2 years ago.